it's on again. Better get ready to climb back on the limb. Come on, man, shake the dust off the moon. Don't yawn and prolong what you got to do. And if you've been going through any negative phase, well, here's your opportunity for turning the page. Today's a new chapter, right to fly and make it end with the wind. Give it all you got. But first, you gotta rise, look alert and alive. Get the dirt from your eyes and work for the prize. Get it done, cause we ain't even trying to lose. Let's go, man, don't hit snooze. It's time to wake up. 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 Tick tock, tick, come on. Tick tock, tick, let's go. Tick tock, tick, come on. Tick tock, tick. You can't wait around for someone's approval. Now is the moment to begin your renewal, man. Feel alive with the vibe, energized of the folks who you're coming by the white in your eyes. Hey, another day might waste away. Come on, let's get it going, don't make delays. So ring the alarm and lift your arm high. Like Georgia Weezy, get a piece of the pie. Begin it with the step, you'll get in it in a sec. You'll be winning like you never did it when you overslept. So right this minute, get right with it. What time is it?
Good morning. This is the regular meeting of the Birmingham City Council. Today is Tuesday, January 7th. This morning, our invocation will be delivered by Reverend Dr. Marcus Jerkins, pastor of New Pilgrim Baptist Church, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Council Pro Tem Wardeen Alexander. If you're willing and able, please stand.
The President of this council and this council, let us pray. Oh, great God, we thank you for this day and blessing us to live. Pray, oh God, as we come before you, that we will be in complete alignment with the plans of heaven. And grant us, oh God, to see your mercy. Bless the leadership of this great city. Give them what they need for themselves and their families. We pray, oh God, for wisdom and discernment for them in their making decisions on behalf of the citizenry. We ask you, oh God, for the citizens of this city, that you would provide us with all that we need. And grant us, oh God, to come together. And help us, oh Lord, to stand up for righteousness, to do that which is required of us, and know, oh God, how to lift up the weak, care for the poor, support those who are orphans and those who are dealing with distress. And we pray, oh God, that you keep your hands upon this city. Allow us to walk in your providential care. It's in the name of our Lord we pray. Amen.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Madam Clerk. Could we please have the roll call?
Good morning. Councilmember Abbott.
Present.
Councilmember Clark.
Present.
Councilmember Moore.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Councilmember Smitherman.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councilmember Tate.
Present.
Councilmember Williams. Good morning. Councilmember Woods. Good morning. Council President Pro Tem Alexander.
Good morning, President.
Good morning. And Council President Okoye.
Present. Thank you. Council, the minutes are not ready for the October 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024 meetings. At this time, we'll have communications from the mayor's office.
I apologize for the delay, Mr. President. And council, good morning to each of you. It's my first time seeing a majority of you this year, so Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to those that are present in the chambers. And Happy New Year to Birmingham. A few notes, Mr. President and Council. I want to start with there will be a state of the community where we engage residents, neighborhood officers, business leaders, and many more this Tuesday, next week, Tuesday, January the 14th. The State of Community will be held at the Boutwell Auditorium, and the time will be 5:30 p.m. For opening the doors. The event actually begins at 6 p.m. We wanted to let those know attending, they can park in the parking deck, and their ticket will be validated, so free parking. But we want to share with the citizens as we start the year detailed information for initiatives in 2025. So, Council, this is an invite to you as well. Hope to see you all there, and more detail to come prior to the 14th to you all. As we deal with the sub-freezing temperatures, I want you all to know that the city of Birmingham continues to partner with shelters across the city. For this week, mainly Jimmy Hill Mission to open a warming station nightly through Thursday, January 9th. More information will come as it relates to January 10th and on. For now, this information is related to yesterday through this upcoming Thursday. As temperatures are expected to fall below freezing, the city of Birmingham, again in partnership with Jimmy Hill Mission, is opening a nightly warming station starting at 6 p.m. Those needing warm shelter can come to the mission located at 3420 2nd Avenue North. Again, that address is 3420 2nd Avenue North, and food is provided. There also will be a free shuttle service will be available from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And information related to that is to assist the mobility challenge and those without transportation. And the pickup spot in place is the main entrance of Land Park at the intersection of Park Place and 20th Street North. There's also return transportation in the morning from the shelter back, and that is each morning. In addition to that, for women with children, if they are experiencing any homeless issues, there's a shelter provided at Pathways. That address is 409 Richard Harrington Jr. Boulevard. And similar days, yesterday through Thursday, each night until the January 9th, starting at 6 p.m. Of course, I'm sharing it with you in this venue. Of course, we shared it on social media. And of course, we've sent out press for print and TV media. But in addition to all of those things, there are street teams as well that are dispatched out in the community on the foot to engage those who may need shelter directly. So covering every form of communication channel as possible to let those know who need shelter that those services exist. I want to also give you all an update in the Department of Public Works. As you know, we launched a new neighborhood-based household garbage pickup schedule starting yesterday, Monday the 6th. And the City of Birmingham's Department of Public Works is engaging in a new way to increase efficiency in this next phase of the Uniform Cart program. As shared with you, as shared with the public, and we'll continue to share in various communication channels as well. Neighborhoods will have one dedicated day each week for household garbage pickup. And for those individuals who have signed up for a uniform recycling cart, recycling collection will be every other week on the same day as the neighborhood's designated household garbage pickup. And yes, Ms. Abbott, I promise you, all citizens in all 9 districts, it is a different truck. It is no commingling of household trash and recycling. So just please note that, share that with your residents ad nauseum, please. As well as bulk trash and bulk pickup is moving to once every other week. So the request for a more consistent basis is 2 times a month. And the pickup schedules can be viewed on city social channels as well as birminghamal.gov/pickup. And again, other various communication channels will continue to be overly aggressive and over communicating the new changes so all citizens are aware of these changes. The city of Birmingham is also proud to host a food truck meeting for event planners, nonprofits, and venues. Thanks to you all recently changed the ordinance and codes around food trucks, and so it's pretty much considered like a town hall for the changes and for all the vendors and food truck owners. But related to these new rules in 2025 for food trucks operating in the city limits, this meeting is set Thursday, January 16th at 9:30 a.m. at the Birmingham Museum of Art. Again, at the Birmingham Museum of Art at 9:30 a.m. Thursday, January 16th, there will be a town hall meeting for food truck vendors, planners, nonprofits, and owners related to some of these rules. And for more information, you can go to birminghamal.gov/food trucks. Food truck, that's no S. Again, that's birminghamal.gov/food truck. Mr. President and Council, there is one more thing to note. We acknowledge that 2024 was a horrific year related to gun violence in our city. Prior to the year ending, we were able to engage various stakeholder groups in the community, if you would, neighborhood officers, other community leaders, law enforcement on the spectrum that included not just police, but the DA's office, as well as criminal judges within Jefferson County, along with small business owners and as well as CEOs and corporate leaders in our community. They were given a tall task to move with the sense of urgency over an 8-week, 2-month, 60-day period to study, come together, research best practices, recommendations, and present them back to us as leaders as well as to the community as a whole. We're proud to say that information was presented yesterday to us and the public. For the public who's listening to this, viewers watching this, you can go to birminghamal.gov/CSI to review this 69-page detailed report from the Crime Commission as it relates to not just the issue, which we know it is, but more importantly, the solutions, ideas, and best practices and recommendations in the immediate, short, mid, and long term related to how we reduce crime, especially around gun violence in our city. And it includes how to engage and support this from a measurable results way. The report calls for strategies to immediately disrupt violence within our city, increase the number of police on the streets, which is something you all have advocated for, banning Glock switches at the state level. I want to take the time to thank the committee for their hard work. The committee, again, I've told you the walks of life they came from, but it was co-chaired by Lee Steislinger of Altech, as well as co-chaired by Ralph Williams of Alabama Power, and many other members of the committee that I named publicly yesterday. But I also want to thank General A.C. Roper, who was an advisor to this committee. Their work does not stop as it relates to keeping them informed, as well as being in the best position to go back to them on them and the community as a whole on not just here's what we are doing, here's what we've done, but here are the challenges as well as the gaps as it relates to resources to move on those recommendations they've made to us. I also want to say that we shouldn't run from the bad, but we should definitely run towards the good and or the better. 2024 ended better than 2023 ended, and I want to tell you what that means. One of the good things in 2024 is that we hired more officers than we have in the last 10 years. And so again, that positive trend of hiring more officers is one. Two, we were averaging, I want to say, around 12 homicides a month. But December 2024, we ended with only 4 compared to 12 in December of 23, compared to 12 in December of 2022 That's literally like a 67% decrease in homicides month to date versus the prior 2 years. The other thing I'll say is something you all, last thing I'll say is something you all always ask about, and that is celebratory gunfire. Council Williams, I think you talked about it last year, some of the things you heard on the radio and the opposite of policing. And so I shared with you all, but it's worth sharing with the public as well. Birmingham Police Department deployed 85 additional sworn officers. They were assisted by 17 deputy sheriffs, as well as Star One in the air, as well as Aaliyah state troopers. 5 arrests were made New Year's Eve. That included 3 felony and 2 misdemeanors. In addition to that, Operation Crackdown, I want to give some more information. The 911 calls related to the celebratory gunfire. 911 dispatchers reported a 64% reduction in calls year to date compared to year previous related to celebratory gunfire. We believe it's due to the additional patrol on the streets. BPD also coordinated with business owners and managers of several major nightclubs and bars that attracted large crowds, and were able to, in partnership with the establishments, assist in closing them before 2 a.m. to assist in minimizing potential incidents, as well as BPD officers were present during the dispersal of crowds to ensure safety. The Business Compliance Unit and Special Enforcement Division also conducted raids on 2 illegally operating nightclubs New Year's Eve and made 2 arrests, 1 for felony drug charges and the other for possession of a firearm by a felon. And so the operation was very successful, and I want to thank BPD for their leadership, as well as continuing that trend as it relates to not only this first quarter in 2025, but throughout the year. And Mr. President and Council, that concludes the Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right. Council Williams.
Yeah, I had a couple of things for you, Mr. Mayor. One is I have a issue with homeless or unhoused folks that typically seem to have figured out where private property is, and they're folks that do not want to come to a shelter or get help from the city. I think that we've kind of gone out there several years in a row now, and they've figured out what is private property where they can hoard and put just loads of trash. I need help with a way that the city can coordinate with private property owners to have BPD intervene, because it's becoming such, the public at large doesn't understand the whole private property deal, but this has gotten to be where now we have vacant homes, where we have unhoused people breaking in and squatting. We have some issues with drug dealing and gunfire, where they're actually living in Flora Johnson Nature Trail. And the issue is compounding to a point where, every time everybody says private property, BPD can't do anything, but it continues to compound and compound and compound, where now, there's just trash and debris everywhere, not to mention the gunfire issue.
2 things before you go to your next point. In the 4th quarter of 2024, we started a process where we were able to engage through a coordinated effort. One, the business owner has to trespass the person or persons on their private property. Once it's trespassed, we then can start a process to notify the person they're no longer able to be on that property. And if they come back, that escalates the situation involving BPD. Second thing is there's a coordinated effort also with Public Works, as well as Elena Melton, who's leading the effort in partnership with social service agencies that can provide resources to that person. So they just don't necessarily go to the next place, but whatever assistance we can provide. So there's a coordinated effort to assist with what you shared. We just need the addresses, 1, that we can clean up, 2, engage the business owners, and we'll walk down their information. As long as they're willing to trespass the person or persons or people, we can go from there.
Okay. Well, the issue is that, you know, on the eastern side of Birmingham, lots of rail yards, lots of homeless folks coming in, so it's not always the same person. There seems to be these known spots where tons of different groups of people come through, but we'll make sure that you have that list, or whoever, your team has that list. And the other thing that, you know, I've asked about the last couple times we've met, I know we haven't met we took a week, but the Rugby Avenue, I'm still getting an immense amount of frustration with what's going on with Rugby Avenue. And I actually was hiking at Ruffner Mountain this weekend, and still, when I was driving to Ruffner, I drove all of Rugby, and those problems still persist. And there doesn't seem to have been enforcement for Rugby at all. So you have, it really is I mean, I drove it myself on Saturday to make sure that I'm not requesting something that's already been addressed, but the Rugby Avenue situation, the calls and emails I'm getting are very warranted.
Yes, sir. So rugby is important. Just for your colleagues' knowledge and the public's knowledge, I got my notes here to make sure I don't miss any points. Rugby Avenue is being redesigned in response to many years of complaints about safety and speeding. So we start there. The changes come from the residents who said change it because it was Rugby's redesign is based on complaints, and I want to give you some detail. These complaints including incidents of cars rolling over, cars hitting houses, and severe injuries, as well as a lot of residents going to the local news about safety concerns on the streets. So just to quantify, there have been at least 83 crashes on Rugby Avenue since 2019. And our data shows that Rugby Avenue had one of the highest average speeds for a residential street within the city. So to the complaints you're getting, Councilor Williams, we really understand because it's a change. And we're wanting people to live through the process of a redesign, and it takes time. So there are a couple of things that we're requesting. One, to you as the counselor of the district, and this is the conversation we have with the neighborhood officers as well as residents who are calling and emailing our office. Please allow some time for the project to be fully completed. It's not fully completed yet, that's one. Two, the outside contractor that is responsible for the project is working to complete the project as quickly as possible. And the other is the project, once it's completed, please allow time for drivers to adjust to the new design as well as for the city to make the necessary changes that are needed. So, the illegally parked cars, yes. I got to note that we started putting notices on them this week.
Okay. And so the illegally parked cars was one of the main issues?
Yes, sir.
Because that creates confusion in the flow of traffic, and then there's all this, but the other main issue is the intersection of Rugby and Vanderbilt does not seem to be wide enough to have two cars pass at the same time with the current striping. And so even if we did a white dotted line, to make it clear, and that has been the intersection that there
Rugby
have
and
been
Vanderbilt.
accidents since.
I will commit to you and the residents in the area. They'll start looking at that today.
Okay.
Rugby and Vanderbilt.
Yes, sir.
All right. Getting this, they're both taking note. We'll get it to BDOT literally right now in real time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, Mr. President O'Quinn. Just for the sake of the public, if y'all don't mind, I wanted y'all to just bear with me, because I really wanted to just, thank the Birmingham Crime Commission, and I wanted to name each of them, so that folks know exactly who is a part of this commission and just a well-rounded group of folks that are a part of this. So we have Lee Steislinger, Ralph Williams, Leroy Abrams, name that company, okay. Lee Steislinger, who is with Altech, Ralph Williams, who is with Alabama Power, Leroy Abrams with Regions Bank, Philip Harris, Vestavia Hills Police Department, Dr. Tracy Moran Adams with Renaissance Bank, Dr. David Hicks with Jefferson County Department of Health, Chris Anderson with Talladega College, Carnell Howell, Howell Consulting, Emery Anthony, who's an attorney, Dr. Jeff Kirby, UAB Division of Trauma and Acute Care and Surgery, Jason Avery, Woodlawn Community President, also a District 4 resident, John Jamie McMahon with Ligon Industries, Frank Bearfield with Crime Stoppers of Metro Alabama, Christopher Nani with Community Foundation of Greater Birmingham, Dr. Thomas Beavers with New Rising Star Church, the Honorable Danny Carr with Jefferson County District Attorney's Office, Patrick Davis, U.S. Secret Service, Birmingham Field Officer, Monique Greer with Jefferson County Youth Detention Center. We also have Arnie Odoms with Birmingham Promise, the Honorable Michael Streety, 10th Judicial Circuit Court Criminal Division Presiding Judge, Bo Walters with Dunn Construction. We have our strategic advisor, of course, Lieutenant General A.C. Roper, and our supporting volunteers, Nashonda Howard with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, and Andre Watson with the City of Birmingham Community Resource Officer. Wanted to acknowledge all of those individuals because, again, it's not just the Birmingham Police Department, it's not just the mayor, it's not just the city council. This commission really shows how everybody plays a part in addressing this issue of gun violence and addressing this issue of violence, period, in our city. And, you know, I have not had an opportunity to deep dive and to read this document, but one of the things that, you know, as I was flipping through, that I saw that we as a council really want to have is, you know, the reestablished trust of the community members in our city to really truly believe in Birmingham, believe in the safety of Birmingham, and we are hoping that this right here will get us to that point. Had an opportunity to briefly, you know, watch the press conference, and somebody asked a question about, you know, getting more young people involved in athletics, and, you know, I just want to say thank you for, you know, making mention of the allocation that, you know, I put towards the PAT, police athletic teams, to get more young people involved in not just playing sports, but also being proximate and mentored by police officers within our city to continue to develop those relationships. And so I'm really excited about this, but I also just want to make sure that the public understands that everybody plays a part. Everybody plays a part. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Council Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to my colleagues who've already commented, because, you know, a lot of what both said resonate with me. I'm really appreciative of the outside help to strategize around this issue and look at, you know, what's working in other places and hear the voice of the community in coming up with solutions. On the squatter issue that Hunter Williams brought up, you know, especially when it's cold like this, we have a lot of people seeking shelter other places, and you know, you can't blame them. It's survival need, but we may have to find more effective ways to intervene. And I was thinking, you know, many of the owners of these empty structures are out of state, out of town. And so, you know, in my own experience dealing with this issue, we've had an owner who did, in fact, get a local agent to post the no trespass, but the squatters removed it as soon as it was done. And also, you know, secure other properties that they had that had not been squatted in yet. But it just strikes me that the city might need to engage a partner locally who could act as agent for some of these out-of-town owners and keep the property posted long enough, you know, for the squatters for the police department to take action. So that might be just something we can add to the equation.
Mr. President, I think her point is well taken. We had an issue, a repeat issue at a property, a former gas station that was no longer serving any form of business in North Birmingham. I can't think of it anymore. Yeah, we tracked down the owner. The owner literally was living in Washington State. And, she was actually receptive to, Mayor, tell us how we can help. I says, well, at a minimum, if you can't fly down yourself, I need you to get an agent or someone that represents you, that you can give power of attorney to or authority to trespass what's happening on your property so we can clean it up because it's becoming blighted and an eyesore. It wasn't just persons on it, it was all the stuff being collected there. Once she gave that permission, able to stay in contact with her, we were able to do away with all the issues on that property. But it took her permission, granting authority to an agent. So I like that idea of, is there something programmatic we can create around that? Because so she was easy to find. She's an individual who we could find, track down a number. But so many of these out of town businesses are through an LLC. It's a ghost. It's really hard to track down the person or entity or phone number or an address. So it's definitely been a struggle.
So I'll just add one thing, not to belabor the point, but so this morning I've received 2 reports of individuals in public right-of-way with fires underneath structures, one at the 14th Street Viaduct and the other on 2nd Avenue North at I-65. So this is an example of, even though we have warming stations open, there are members of the community that are living on the street that,
Refuse.
for whatever reason, don't want to utilize that option. So, just a reminder that, to the community, to us, that we need to, continue to work towards figuring out, what solutions work for those folks that don't want to utilize the existing options. We're hoping that, the partnership with Urban Alchemy can reveal some of those potential pathways to mitigating those types of situations. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, Mr. President, we feel good about Hart Birmingham and their ability to deploy street teams on the ground on a consistent basis, even when it's not cold. There's a similar challenge to what you just mentioned that Councilor Williams shared, that this whole notion of, for lack of a better term, cracking the code and figuring out how to use of private property that's abandoned. Well, what's off rail lines, CSX and Norfolk, as well as state property, dealing with ALDOT, the code has been cracked on that as well, knowing that they don't move as fast as the city on their property. For example, the one you spoke to on 2nd and 65, we've made a visit there. That, I don't even know how to explain that. I literally can't articulate what's happening there, but without the state's help, nothing will change there.
All right. Councilor Clark, you have a follow-up?
Just one more thing, if you don't mind. Thank you. Just want to acknowledge a group from College Hills that's here today because,
We see that.
We've had some issues with short-term rentals, and we've had issues with celebratory gunfire, and maybe we're not considered a hot spot when, the police force is strategizing around where to deploy all those extra resources you had New Year's Eve. But real horrifying stuff, because I live right in the middle of the 2 Airbnbs where the shots happened before, and then I think that's gotten better, but you'll hear from people on the ground what they experienced. And it, I was just shuddering in my boots. So
a couple of things, Mr. President, this is my last point, I promise. Thank you for bringing that up. to know this young lady very well. I saw her on the news, but known her prior to. Chief Pickett, as well as the captain of the precinct, Ms. Tate, without me, went to visit, visit this young man this past Saturday. So they received a visit from like top leadership, captain and the chief of police, because I believe from the camera on his home, the shooting was captured. Separate and apart from that visitation, Ms. Tate and I, Councilor Tate and I talked about doing some things. And here's the most important part. We've identified the owner. We understand this owner has, if you all were unaware of this, he has several properties throughout the city. So we'll be engaging in a very different way related to engaging the legal department as well, along with BPD. Is there anything we can attach to the actual owner to hold the owner responsible?
Yeah. I just want to say that, I do want the owner to be more responsible, but I feel like the owner's also a victim. And so we have to, really find out what we can do about these perps, because if they're not at his location, they're going to be somewhere else. So, I mean, I felt like they were in my yard, and I was literally terrified. So, and anyway, I just think, yeah, we can, if they weren't at his place, they were going to be somewhere else. So I don't know what else we can do, but we got to, we're going to do all the stuff in this book, I hope. But I just wanted to acknowledge them and their plight, because I share it, and just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, at this time, do we have any announcements of expirations for boards and agencies?
No, sir, we have none for the month of February 2025.
Okay. I'll move on to our statement on the conduct of business. All items designated as consent are routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. All items on the consent agenda will be announced by reading the item numbers only. No separate discussion of these items will be permitted unless a council member or the mayor requests the item be removed from the consent agenda. Additionally, a citizen interested in addressing the council with respect to an item on the consent agenda designated for public hearing may request the item be removed from the consent agenda to hold the hearing on the item. Any items removed from the consent agenda will revert to its normal place on the agenda order of business. For remaining matters, all matters of permanent operation will be read and all public hearings will be announced. Madam Clerk, at this time, could we read through the items on our consent agenda?
Yes, sir. The consent agenda initially began on page 3 with item number 6, but it's been recommended by the Office of the City Attorney to remove item number 6 from the consent agenda because it goes with item number 5, and we can't waive the fee before you do the vacation. So we're removing item number 6 from the consent agenda.
Just removing it, not withdrawing it,
Not
just
withdrawing,
removing
just
it from
taking
the
it off the
consent agenda. Understood.
Now we go over to page 4. We have items 8 and items 9. On page 5, we have items 10, 11, and 12. Page 6, we have items 13, 14, 15, and 16. On page 7, we have items 17 and 18. And on page 8, we have item 20. And we also have item 21 on the addendum. That
Okay.
completes the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do any members of the council wish to add or remove any items from the consent agenda? Council Williams. Item 11, that's page 5. Council Woods.
Yeah, I'd like to remove item 10.
Item 10, also on page 5. Any others? So we have one item, item 21, that's on the consent agenda and marked as a public hearing. Do any members of the public wish to remove item 21 from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we're ready for a motion.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right. The consent agenda is approved. Item 1, please.
Okay, item number 1 on page 2 is an ordinance to further amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham, case number ZAC 2024-00001, to change zone district boundaries from D3 Single Family District to QI1 Qualified Light Manufacturing District, filed by Melody Trim, the owner, and Bree Bothwell, applicant, for property located at 2510 and 2530 Balco Road and situated in Section 3, 1/4, Section 3, Township 17, Range 1 West. And this is the hearing about interested parties.
So Williams and Smitherman. All right, this is the public hearing. Councilor Abbott?
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to have Mr. Gambrell read our case for us and explain all of this wonderment that has happened regarding this case.
Okay, good morning. My name is Tim Gambrell. I serve as the Chief Planner for the City of Birmingham. This is case ZAC 2024-1 in the Liberty Highlands neighborhood. It is an application to change zone district boundaries from D3 Single Family District to I1 Light Manufacturing District in order to allow for the use of an outdoor storage yard for landscape materials, work trucks, equipment tools, filed by Melody Trim, the owner, and Bree Bothwell, the applicant for the property, located at 2510, 2530 Balco Road, situated in Section 3, quarter Section 3, Township 17, Range 1 West. Proposed use is a contractor's yard. The applicant's proposal is requesting to use 2 parcels in order to allow for the use of an outdoor storage yard, landscaping materials, earth-moving equipment, commercial truck trailer parking. The business currently employs 24 employees, in which they use the existing 1,200 square foot residential house to serve as a corporate and daily operations office. An existing greenhouse building located on the subject property will be utilized to house plant material. Hours of operation, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. However, landscape crews do assemble around 6:30 a.m. The property and abutting land uses. The subject property sits on 2 parcels consisting of 1.4 acres of land, currently zoned D3 Single Family District. Adjacent parcels to the north, south, east are all zoned D3 Single Family District, and the City of Irondale R1 and R2 to the west, which are also single family districts. The city's adopted long-range land use plan identifies the property as light industrial. This designation is reserved for light industrial and office uses, small warehouse and distribution facilities, urban agriculture, and other supporting uses such as minor retail, service related to industrial uses. Light industrial district can be located in a business park setting, typically located near major transportation routes such as interstate, state highway, railroad, right-of-way, airport facilities. Residential uses are not recommended and are only permitted by ZBA with special exception. The use, once again, is a contractor's yard, which is a construction, incidental storage activities performed by construction contractors on lots other than construction sites. The neighborhood, the Liberty Highlands Neighborhood Association, met at its regular scheduled meeting on September 26, 2024, to review the proposed project and voted to support the request 3-0. The Zoning Advisory Committee met at a regular scheduled meeting on October 15, 2024, and voted to unanimously recommend the zoning request with a few conditions. One is to combine the lots into one lot. I'm sorry. The first one is to obtain any necessary permits to complete any work that's necessary on the site. The second is to combine the subdivision lots. Planning and Zoning Committee met on October 23, 2024 to review the proposed project and voted to recommend the zoning request with the same Q conditions. And those are the same Q conditions that are actually on the case today. And that concludes the report.
Mr. Gambrell, I noted that you skipped over the portion of the description about zoning enforcement history, that this case has been going on since 2021, and we're just now getting to a resolution. And it says in your write-up, or whoever wrote it up, that Melody Trim was incorrectly listed as the owner. But on today's item, she's listed as the owner. So who is the owner?
My understanding is that Melody Trim is the owner.
She's now the owner, but she wasn't the owner when you contacted her in 2022.
I believe that was some misunderstanding in that information. I think that information was inaccurate from what I understood.
Okay, but it was given to us as if it is accurate. And it says that the owner is Tommy Trim, the actual property owner. That's what the write-up that you provided to us says. So what are we to believe?
The Trims are the owner. Melody Trim is the owner, I believe. That's what I was told this morning.
Okay. Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is the applicant here? Please come forward so that you can explain what's going on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Thomas Trim, or Tommy Trim. My wife is the property owner, and we have a business that she is the owner. I'm currently retired, and I work as the advisor or manager for the business. So I'm in her stead today.
Okay, and can you just give us an overview of what is going on here?
Yeah, we acquired the property in 2019 from an individual. I stated when I was here for the zoning that we were under the impression that it was mixed use.
Can you speak into the microphone
I'm
so
sorry.
we can
We
hear
were
you?
of the understanding when we took the property that it was mixed use property, and then we found out later that it wasn't. And so once we were notified, the first thing we had to do is get the property surveyed. That took a little while because the property was so old, and it took a while to get someone to actually survey the property. And then once we got the survey, we started the process of going through the Liberty Highlands community and getting the approvals and going through the process.
Okay, so you bought the property in 21 and you didn't know what the zoning was and you didn't know what city it was in.
We did not. We were understanding. We thought it was Irondale. We had no idea. So we got bad information when we bought the property. We traded goods and assets for the property for the deed for $25.30. We didn't acquire the property until 2021. The reason why there was some confusion about who the ownership was at the time, we did a wraparound mortgage, and we assumed the mortgage in 2022, and then we did the closing. So we didn't actually acquire 2510 until later on.
Okay, so the property is zoned single-family residential, and you want to rezone it to light industrial.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to this, you have encroached on the city right-of-way, and the Department of Transportation is doing something about that? Mr. Gambrell, do you know what DOT is doing about the encroachments?
Yeah, we did contact BDOT and discuss that with them. Essentially, what they've done is created some parallel parking spaces in the street. This location is very remote, receives very little traffic, and I believe that they were not concerned with the parallel parking spaces that are placed in the street.
Okay, so there's really not an encroachment. There's some parking spaces drawn on the pavement?
They've created some parking in the street. That's correct. Yeah. But like I say, BDOT, at this location, there's almost no traffic here. It's very, it's sort of isolated, its location. And, they felt like the parking in the street there was okay.
I thought public parking was allowed on city streets.
That's correct.
So why was this called an encroachment?
I think there were concerns from planning staff initially, the enforcement staff initially, but those concerns were allayed by Birmingham Department of Transportation staff.
Okay, so thank you. So do any members of the council have any questions regarding this, this request? Councilor Williams?
Thank you. And I heard what Mr. Gambrell said. In your own words, specifically what are y'all going to be doing and why does it have to be light industrial?
We basically park trucks there,
Okay.
and at night,
When you say trucks, what do you mean by that? Like dump trucks?
No,
Four-wheel drive
we have
trucks?
some box trucks, like a Zuzu box trucks.
Okay.
Like typical landscape trucks,
Yeah,
with the 16-foot beds.
Yep.
We have 5 of those. We have 4 pickup trucks, a couple of vans. And that's pretty much it. And they're all parked inside there's a privacy fence. It's got landscaping. Everything's pretty much cleared. When we
Okay.
first got this property, it was basically privet and trash.
okay. And then who is parking on city streets?
The employees that park on the outside,
Okay.
so when they get off at the end of the day, they can actually not be locked inside the shop. They can just leave.
Okay, and when you went to Liberty Highlands, the neighbors were, it says they voted in favor of the zoning change, but
Correct.
they
We
had
went through that process twice with the Liberty Highlands community, and we were unanimously approved both times.
Okay. Well, the good thing about that is everybody that lives in Liberty Highlands also is the 3 people that go to the neighborhood association, so I'm glad they're good with it.
It's a great group of people that we've met with. They were very nice people.
Councilor Clark?
Thank you, Councilor Abbott. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, you're fine with leaving the public right-of-way going through the 2 parcels? You don't plan to try to combine those?
We're just looking to combine the two, 2520 and 2530. Is all that we're looking to do.
So you are going to combine those in a plat, a survey,
We
replat
had it
those?
surveyed for both pieces of property on our survey, so
Mm-hmm.
they did survey both pieces of property together,
So you're going to combine them into one lot, or no?
if that's what's required of us, yes.
Okay, so so I guess Tim, I see you nodding. So they're going to replat the property to put those 2 together and vacate the public right-of-way? Or
They wouldn't need to vacate the right-of-way
okay, but they can combine those 2 into one lot? that
without
has a-
vacating the right-of-way. That's correct.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, it was the committee's recommendation that this be approved with all of the conditions that are listed in the case. So I move approval if it hasn't already been moved. I couldn't remember. Oh, sorry. I did forget. The members of the public. Are there any members of the public who are here to speak regarding this case? Seeing no one, thank you for that reminder.
All right, thank you.
Back
So,
to you.
Counselor Abbott has made a motion, and been seconded by Counselor Smitherman, so we're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, that item is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 2, please.
Item number 2, also on page 2, is an ordinance to further amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham, case number ZAC 2024-0008, to change zone district boundaries from R3 Single Family District to QD4 Qualified Medium Density Residential District, filed by Peggy Walters, the owner, and Alicia Walters, applicant, for property located at 1000 Avenue W and situated in Section 32, 1/4, Section 2, Township 17, Range 3 West, and this is the hearing of all interested parties.
It was Williams and Smitherman. This is a public hearing item, so Counselor Abbott.
Thank you, Mr. Gambrell. Will you read our case, please?
Yes, ma'am. Tim Gambrella, Service Chief Planner for the City of Birmingham. This is ZAC 2024-8 in the South Pratt neighborhood. The proposed use is a communal living facility. The applicant is requesting to rezone 2 parcels containing 0.11 acres to allow for a communal living facility. The facility will offer independent living and limited daily support for those who need additional help. The residents will receive housing, meals, activities, and minimal supervision, safe, stable environment for veterans who have served our country. The facility is proposed to have 4 shared bedrooms with a total of 8 beds. The facility hours of operation will be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there will be a maximum of 4 employees and 1 administrator. The subject property sits on 2 parcels consisting of 0.11 acres of land, currently zoned R3 Single Family District. Adjacent parcels to the north, south, and west are zoned D2 Single Family District and CM2 Heavy Industrial District to the east. The city's adopted long-range land use plan identifies the property as residential low. This designation is designed to allow for single-family residential development at a variety of densities. These districts may be applied to preserve the character of developed residential areas that are predominant single-family in nature and recommend to remain so by the comprehensive plan. Uses in this district include single-family homes, school, church, and neighborhood serving public uses. This is a communal living facility request. The site exceeds the maximum parking allowed by 3 spaces, and therefore, they will have to deal with, placing low-impact development on the site. They also are required to provide parking spaces for bicycles. And stormwater, for the floodplain management department, the structure is not located in SFHA. However, it is in a 500-year floodplain, also known as a shaded zone X, with very limited chance of flooding. The floodplain zone overlay requirements apply, or no floodplain zone overlay requirements apply. There were no comments from Birmingham Department of Transportation. The neighborhood, South Pratt Neighborhood Association, met its regular scheduled meeting on July 16, 2024 to review the proposed project and voted to support the request 9-0. The Zoning Advisory Committee met at its regular scheduled meeting on September 3rd, 2024 and voted unanimously to recommend the zoning request with the following Q conditions. The first one deals with them receiving approval of a subdivision to combine their lots. The second deals with them receiving approval from Zoning Board of Adjustment for a special exception and potentially, depending on how they organize their parking in the front yard. If they are approved, they recommended that certain uses be allowed, and there's a list there on item 3. And due to the excess of parking, they will have to incorporate some low-impact development technique on site. The applicant does not meet the bicycle parking requirement and may need a variance for that if they attempt not to provide those. Planning and Zoning Committee met on September 25, 2024 to review the proposed project and voted to recommend the rezoning request with the same Q conditions. And the item is before you with those same Q conditions today. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Gambrell. Is the applicant here? Please come forward and state your name and address and tell us what you're doing. or anything beyond what Mr. Gambrell already
Anything
told
beyond,
us.
right. Hi, thank you. Hi, good morning, council. Thank you for having me today. My name is Alicia Walters. I am the property owner and of the proposed business, which is located on 1000 Avenue W. The description of the proposed use would be to sponsor and service veterans seeking a supportive home environment. So that's our goal. It would be a community-based facility offering independent living and direct support. We will have 24-hour supportive staff there to care for the people residents that live in the home. Like he said, it's a 4-bedroom home that offers both private and shared rooms. Like the goal is to create a comfortable, nurturing environment.
Are there any requirements for the veterans, like can they be handicapped or have dementia, or is it just any veteran, or do you have special services that you plan to offer?
We're going to be working closely with the Veteran Administration, so they will come into the home and review it and make sure that we are, review what we are capable for during the fire inspections. They'll do health and safety checks. So they're the ones that will be placing the veterans into the home.
Okay, so the VA.
Yes, we will be working with the VA.
Okay, good. Do members of the council have any questions regarding this rezoning request? Yes, ma'am. Councilor Tate.
Thank you, Councilor Abbott. So how many veterans will be housed in this facility?
It can be up to 8 people or as little as 4.
And you say you're gonna have a 24-hour staff. Would that consist of nurses, or what staff would you have?
Yes, we would have CNAs as well as LVNs, and it's based on the person's needs. So if the veterans say we would need to have a nurse in place, we would hire the nurse to be in place. So it's based on the individual's needs.
Okay, so 24-hour care.
Yes.
Around the clock. Okay, thank you.
Any other council members with questions? Yes, Councilor Clark.
Thank you. This looks really great. Wanted to know, do you do this already somewhere else? And is this an expansion, or is this your first?
No, I've been
Such-
working with people with intellectual disabilities for over 10 plus years. I do have an administration certification to work with people with disabilities. So I do have experience in the area.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? The committee, are there members of the public here who wish to speak regarding this request? Seeing no one, the committee's decision was to recommend approval to the council, so I move approval. I think we've already done it, but just in case. That's what the committee recommended.
Thank you, Councilor Abbott. So yes, we have a motion and a second already.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
All right, thank you. That item is approved. Item 3, please.
Thank you.
Item 3 on page 2 is a resolution relative to the application of AGJW LLC for the transfer of a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license to be used at the G-Spot, 3912 Richard Arrington Jr. Boulevard North, Birmingham, Alabama, 35234. And this is a hearing of all interested parties. Would you like item number 4 also read?
No, we're going to handle them
Individual.
separately.
Okay.
So we need a motion.
Yes, sir.
It was Williams and Moore. This is a public hearing item, so I'll hand it over to Councilor Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is the applicant here? State your name and address for the record, please, and speak into the mic for us. You can
Yes.
lift the mic up.
My name is Andrew George. This is my partner, John Wade, and the address is 3912 Richard Arrington Jr. Boulevard North,
Okay.
Birmingham 35234.
Okay, and this is the item to transfer your liquor license, the LLC transfer of the lounge and retail class 1 license for your liquor license, correct?
Yes, right now it's under sole proprietor, and we was trying to transfer it under the LLC.
Okay, well, council, the applicant met with the East Birmingham Neighborhood Association on 8/26/24. It was 6 in attendance, 6 supported. And I am going to call Sergeant Knight. I did see him in to see, has there been any incidents at this location? Sergeant Knight.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy morning.
Well, I'm Sergeant Knight, Business Compliance Supervisor. I have looked over the safety plan. First of all, we have no calls at the location, no incidents at the location. So we're clear on that. But the safety plan that he provided me, it's not bad. But I heard you run a food truck outside the establishment.
Yes.
Okay, that's not included in here at all.
No.
Yeah, so we. Yeah, but it's right outside your business, part of your, so we need to have that included because that's a crowd within itself that could be outside your club. So that's not included. And the lighting, I see you provided lighting through Alabama Power for street lighting. What about your club, your business? Actually lighting up your business, where the exits are and stuff like that. Well, if I look at your business, you have lighting aiming at your business.
Yes, we have that on the sketches that we send, whatever. We have lighting actually on the outside of the building as well.
Okay.
But they didn't say anything about adding it on the sketches. Why they didn't do that.
Well, the biggest thing I have is the food truck. That's a big issue right now with crowds gathering outside late night. That can be a problem within itself. And I think that needs to be covered in the safety plan of how you're going to manage that. Because that's a big issue right now with food trucks. That's part of our problem right now with these nightclubs. You got a crowd, but they'll go outside, and you got another crowd outside. Mm-hmm. That has to be managed as well. So right now, this safety plan is not covering everything we need to have included right now.
Okay. So, Mr., I'm sorry, your name again?
Andrew, come on up. Andrew George.
Mr. George, what is your plan of action to address what Sergeant Knight is speaking to you about the food truck?
Well, my plan is we do have armed guards outside of the building during operations. The food truck is only operational when the club is operational. From 10 to 2 is the time that the food truck is open, same time the club is open. And we do have armed guards on the premises, and we also will be employed an off-duty Birmingham police officer, whatever, on the property as well, too. So we do have measures to control the crowd that comes out of the club or goes to the food truck.
Okay. I would highly recommend that you update this safety plan to incorporate that into your safety plan, and get that back to me so I can provide it, so it can be on record.
Okay.
Okay, any counselors have any questions for Mr. George? Counselor Williams?
Thank you, sir. No, well, I was talking, thank you. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir. But is the lot that has all of the vehicles that are under repair still adjacent to that property?
No, those are actually behind the property within a gate. That's the neighbor's property, which is the
Okay.
body shop.
Okay, so that goes directly behind that body shop. But are there still cars parked on the street?
Yeah, we have on-street parking, but not the body shop. The body shop cars are
But the
within
body
the gate.
shop's not parking those cars on the street?
No, it's not part of it.
Okay. And then you do have, so really it's that the cars that are parked on the street are street parking for your business?
Say that again?
The cars that are parked on the street are street parking for your business?
Yeah, street parking, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
So,
President.
my question is, this business has been in operation for some time, so,
6 years now. We've been open for 6 years.
okay, 6 years. And so you're stating that what's being requested today is a transfer of the license from the sole proprietorship to the LLC.
LLC, yes.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any other counselors? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Abbott.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, the drawing we have shows 4 cameras inside and 4 cameras outside, but where is the parking?
We have on-street parking.
You don't have any parking on site at all?
Yes, on-street. We got approved for on-street parking. They park on the side of the streets, in front of the building, on the side of the building.
Okay, so when I say on street, I mean on a city public street. When you say on street, what do you mean?
I guess it means the same thing, like on the side of the building, down the streets. 'Cause
Okay,
that's what we got, when we first started the business 6 years ago, whatever, we had got approved for on-street parking. That's what they called it, on-street parking.
okay. I just wondered because normally buildings with occupants have a parking requirement. So, do we not have a parking requirement at this location?
And that's what I've stated, I'm council member. When we initially got this business 6 years ago, we had to go through zoning and everything, and they approved us for on-street parking because the actual building don't have parking lot.
Okay, so you got a variance. You got a variance? to
Yes,
not
ma'am.
have
Yes,
parking.
ma'am.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I understand now. I'm a little slow, but I caught on.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Abbott. Any other counselors have questions for the applicant? Is any members from the public here to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, turn it back in your hands, Mr. President.
All right. It's been motioned and seconded already, so we're ready for the vote. Excuse me.
For the record,
Attorney
did you want me to state the law to grant or deny under Alabama State Code 2816? There are 7 grounds in which to grant or deny a license, a liquor license. The creation of a nuisance, circumstances clearly detrimental to or which would adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare of the adjacent residential neighborhoods, a violation of applicable zoning restrictions, an individual applying for the license has a prior conviction involving the use of alcohol or a controlled substance, the proximity of the business to a school or child care facility, the traffic congestion created by licensing will endanger others, or any other reason that poses a risk.
Okay, thank you. All right, now I believe we're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Note my abstention, please.
All right, item 3 is approved. Item 4, please.
Yes, sir. Item 4 is on page 4. Page 3. A resolution relative to the application. Please note that the application has been corrected, and the application now reads, a resolution relative to the application of AGJW LLC instead of Andrew George for a Division II dance permit to be used at the G-Spot, 3912 Richard Arrington Jr. Boulevard North, Birmingham, Alabama, 35234, and this is a hearing of all interested parties.
So Councilor Williams and Councilor Clark. It's a public safety, public hearing item, so again, Councilor Tate.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. This is Mr. George is before us again with the G-Spot is requesting a permit for a Division II dance permit. And he presented to the neighborhood, again, on 8/26/2024, and it's the East Birmingham neighborhood. 6 were in attendance and 6 supported. He's provided a public safety plan, which he stated on record that he needs to update some requirements that were given to him by Sergeant Knight. Mr. George, could you tell the council what, about this portion of your club?
Yes, like I stated before, we've actually been in business for 6 years now as a club, and the fact that I wanted to add a dance to permit, whatever, is why we had to go through the whole process again. So that's why I had to go through the neighborhood. It got approved by the neighborhood, and like I said, we just wanted to add a dance to the actual club that we already have. And like Chief stated, whatever, we've been in business 6 years without not one issue, not one fight, not one gunshot, anything. And I've actually employed licensed armed security guards, and we actually do plan on hiring Birmingham Police Department to be on site. We're a small venue, whatever. Our capacity is only 87 people, whatever. It's not like we're a big, large venue. So we plan on taking the measures we need to actually make sure everybody's safe in that environment.
Okay, thank you. Any members of the council wish to ask Mr. George any questions? Councilor Williams?
Thank you, ma'am. All right, when we met at Public Safety about this item, and let me just refresh my memory I know you've been in operation for several years and you hadn't had any incidences, but at this time, you do not have strippers, is that correct?
This time I don't know.
You do
I'm
not.
trying to get them.
Yeah, but you don't have them currently. Okay. So my concern was around what was in the safety plan and the propensity of having issues with human trafficking when you have a Division II dance permit. And so I don't see anything in the safety plan that addresses that, but can you tell me what that you are going to do to prevent any type of potential human trafficking issue when that typically comes in line with Division II dance permits?
Sure. I mean, our plan is, number one, we have an application process, and we also only hiring state licensed entertainers, if you want to call them that, whatever. They have to have their state approved license, and in doing so, I think that Birmingham Police Department said they get doing a background check for all potential licensees. So, in other words, if you want to be employed as, you have to have your license, and that's one way to curb the trafficking by being background checks, application process, so we know definitely who they are.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? President O'Quinn?
So just based on past experience, one of the problems that we've encountered is when club owners work with promoters for events. So in essence, you own the club and operate the club, but, there's a promoter that, creates a show, a special event of that nature. So, in essence, what we've observed is that in some incidents where the club owners are working with a promoter, the promoter, can create some issues for the surrounding community that, isn't necessarily in line with what the property owner would want. So my question is that with regard to the Division II dance permit, is it your intention to manage that portion of the operation yourself, or do you intend to work with promoters?
First of all, we don't deal with promoters. We basically our own promoters. Like I said, we're both the owners of the business. We own the building. We don't do promoters, and we do plan on dealing with that directly. Me and my partner, we're actually on site. We're there. Every night that we've been open since 6 years, whatever, we're actually on site. So we part of the issue. We part of the solution to whatever problem they're there. We're there. But we don't deal with promoters.
Thank you.
Any other councilors? Councilor Moore?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I just wanted to say, so just so I'm clear, you have a great relationship with the neighborhood and the residents that are in the area, correct? They're familiar with your business and what you do?
Yes. Actually, the vice president of the neighborhood association lives right across the street.
Gotcha.
He actually cuts the yard for us in front of the building, whatever. And we do have a good relationship with the community. Half of the neighborhood are our customers.
Got you. And they are familiar with, you know, the exotic dancers that are associated with the Division II dance permit.
Yes, they are. Even when
Okay.
we went to the neighborhood meeting, it was a lot of quote unquote grandmothers there. And when we told them we was doing whatever, they were excited for us. So that's why we got a majority vote.
Got you. Okay. No further questions.
Councilor Tate, I have a question.
Oh, I said no further questions. No further.
Madam Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Tate. I did want to ask Sergeant Knight, given that this particular item that we're dealing with is the Division II dance permit, are there any suggestions to further strengthen the safety plan based on just sometimes the type of audience that may want to come and partake of this type of entertainment?
Right, yes, ma'am. I also noticed that that's not included in the safety plan at all. It's just a two-level building. Where will the dancing be going on at? Okay, it just says dance floor, meaning that it didn't say dance for dancers, you know.
I got told Mr. Stanley, I'm not an artist. I just did a brief little whatever, but it's a stage dance floor. I couldn't draw it.
Is this all on the first floor?
Yes.
Okay, on the first floor, okay. So what I recommend with that dancing piece involved, I recommend strongly getting connected with the Real-Time Crime Center based on human trafficking and that kind of crowd that's going to draw. I would strongly recommend that you tie in with Birmingham Real-Time Crime Center. So in the case something happens, we can help us in the investigation, because with these ladies involved, that changed the whole dynamics of your club.
Gotcha.
You know, that's you know, I've been around long enough to know what kind of guys be in these strip joints, and it's a different crowd. Okay, and that needs to be covered more in detail in your safety plan. It just says dance floor, but it mentions nothing about their safety in the plan itself. So this needs to be updated, you know, to include that. We got a lot of that going on, so that's what we recommend. But I really strongly recommend that Real-Time Crime Center.
Real-Time Crime Center, yes.
Okay, right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Sergeant Knight.
Any other questions? Mrs. Abbott?
Now that we know there's a second floor, what goes on the second floor?
The second floor is actually where we're gonna. That's what. My bad. Sorry about that. That's where the dressing room is at right now, and we're waiting to get the actual permit, and we're gonna make some changes to the actual building.
Like putting in stairs to get to the second floor?
Ma'am, I can't hear you.
Are you gonna put in stairs to get to the second floor?
There are already stairs there.
Okay, well, your safety plan doesn't show that you have any stairs.
Because we haven't, we still have to work on the building a little bit. We was trying to get the actual permit before we actually put up everything in there.
So will you give us an updated
Sure, I will.
safety plan that shows how you access the second floor and maybe what goes on up there?
Definitely.
I think that would be a good idea. Because the second floor is a whole different place. And there's not even any access shown to get to the second floor on this drawing. And I realize you said you weren't a professional drawer, but still, looking at this, there's no way for us to know there's a second floor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if you're committed to giving us an update when you...
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Councilor Clark?
Yeah, my question, thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for Attorney King, who seems to have left the room. But I know that for some adult establishments, there are location, like distances from this and that. Do any of those apply to a Dance 2 permit? I guess is my question. Are there any zoning distance type requirements, like how they can be located?
Attorney Bernard is here, Karen.
or maybe it doesn't apply because this isn't an adult establishment, it's a dance too. Maybe they're different. I don't know.
That's an adult establishment.
It's the same thing? Okay.
Yeah, Julie Bernard, Service Assistant City Attorney with the Office of City Attorney. And there may be somebody from Planning, Engineering, and Permits who can help me with the specifics, because I know we amended that a few years ago. But a Dance 2 permit is an adult establishment, and there is a spacing requirement under zoning. I believe we made that consistent with what the state law is, at 1,000 feet from, I know, schools, parks. I don't remember all the specific. I would have to look.
Okay.
But there is a spacing requirement under the zoning ordinance.
But do we think we've checked off and it meets all of those distance requirements?
I am not certain.
Okay.
I can't answer that.
Well, I know it's, okay.
Mr. Gambarell is here.
I'm not sure if I heard the question.
I was just wondering if this sort of use that they're proposing under the Dance 2 license has certain distance requirements that it has
does.
to meet? And what are those?
Yeah, so it's as Attorney Bernard had mentioned, Tim Gambrell, Chief Planner of the City of Birmingham, but as Attorney Bernard had mentioned, that there is a 1,000-foot separation from many different types of establishments, schools, churches, historic districts, various things. But planning staff, as part of this, being on the agenda, reviewed those and believe that this meets those requirements. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. George, will this establishment have a VIP section? Will this establishment have a VIP section?
Yeah, we're gonna work on that, yes.
Okay. Mr. President?
Yeah, so just to clarify on the second story, the second floor issue, is it your intention that that's going to be restricted to only employees, or is that going to be at some point part of,
Most likely it'd probably be VIP, most likely. But like I said, we're waiting. A lot of the building itself now has some changes we have to make to it, have to add things to it. But we didn't want to proceed with that until we finish this meeting, whatever, so we can know if we can move forward or not.
Okay, so then my question to staff is that how do we?
Hold on, you're gonna answer. I guess I didn't understand it. Go ahead.
No, you didn't understand the question he was asking. Was that going to be strictly for employees, or was it part of the club?
So are you going to have customers upstairs?
No.
Okay. But it sounds like part of the future plan may incorporate
Future
that.
plans. Yes, future plans.
Okay, so then my question is, and I don't know who this goes to, is at some point, will they have to come back to us to incorporate a second story, another expansion of the business within the same building? So, and my concern is that, the current safety plan doesn't include any consideration for the second story. So give me some guidance on how to handle that.
That may be a challenge for me. Tim Gambrell, once again, Chief Planner of the City of Birmingham. We're looking at the use. The use is allowed. They're handling their parking the way they are. We don't have any limitation on size. I don't know how that would be scrutinized in the future, to be honest with you.
Well, there's other questions, so I'll go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, I would suggest to the council that, we delay action on this item until the safety plan can be updated to incorporate, some of the suggestions from Sergeant Knight and, plans for future expansion.
So,
That can be in the form of a motion, but I know there's other questions that folks want to ask.
Councilor Moore.
thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the statement that was given by, Mr. Tim Gambrill, in terms of, or regarding the use of this space, I believe that, he's done what he needs to do in order to meet those guidelines. I think, he's finding out today, right now in this council meeting, that there are certain things that he needs to change concerning his safety plan, which I'm not sure if that was, stated to him before he got here today that needed to be done. And if not, then I don't want, a business owner, a small business owner in our city to, be penalized because a lot of times, time cuts into the money that business owners have to spend to keep their business going and to, continue doing what they need to do to provide a service. Now, there's a lot of questions around the details of what he has going on. A lot of folks may not, agree or whatever the case may be, but according to what has been stated here today, he is well within his means and, within the guidelines, and has gotten even the recommendation from the residents that they would be in approval of this as well. And so I do think that you need to make some changes to your safety plan to address all the things that were brought up here today, because, we need to ensure that not only, your patrons, but the residents and surrounding area is safe as well. But I don't want to, delay this individual and these small business owners to, move forward. So that.
Okay, Attorney King.
And I wanted to provide clarification before any ruling, but they can only have dancing in the areas designated, so I wanted that to be clear, and it has to be a raised stage separation from the patrons. There was some discussion that I may have missed about the location of the VIP room in relation to where the dancing will take place, so I wanted to provide clarification.
Okay. Is anybody here from the public to speak for or against this item? Seeing none. Councilor Clark?
Thank you. I'm in support of the item, but I do think we need some clarity on the space program for the second floor and have that incorporated into the safety plan. So I feel like if we vote on this today, that we can't really hold you to that. I don't know that we can hold you to that. So how much time would you need to update your safety plan to incorporate the food truck, traffic? I guess you've kind of addressed that in your explanation of how you'll have the guards outside, but how you plan to program the space on the second floor and have that a more comprehensive, have that included in your plan. Like if there's dressing rooms and offices or whatever's up there, we could have that included for the record. Do you need a week, 2 weeks? I mean, if we were
Next meeting.
next meeting, so in light of that, I would support a 1 week delay.
Let me, Councilor Abbott's comment. Councilor Clark.
What are the consequences of delaying till they can provide the documentation?
Attorney King.
Is there an advertising period or something?
So I think to make sure that they have ample time to do a 2-week delay to allow them to update everything that the council has stated today.
Thank you, Attorney King. Councilor Abbott.
Well, I haven't looked at the adult establishment ordinance in a while. But I thought that there was a spacing requirement of how close they could be to a residence. So I think a 2-week delay is a good idea so we can actually read the ordinance and refresh our memories. At least I need to refresh mine. Y'all's may be just fine. But we haven't had an adult establishment request in a good while. And I just need to refresh my own memory about what adult establishments are allowed and not allowed to be close to there. Thank you.
Councilor
That is, I
Williams.
just moved for a 2-week delay.
Councilor Williams?
I think I'm good with the 2-week delay, but it does need to point out the reason that there was no recommendation by public safety was over these same concerns that we're talking about today. So we've already had this conversation just a few weeks ago. So I'm having a little bit of deja vu.
Attorney King?
I would suggest, just on recent information, a 4-week delay just to make sure that there's no problems with permitting or things of that nature, to give ample time.
Thank you, Attorney King. Councilor Smitherman?
Okay, well, I move for a 4-week delay then.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
That item has been delayed 4 weeks. Thank you, sir. Item 5, please.
Item 5. 1 second. Yes, sir.
Wider and deeper.
Item 5 on page 3 is a resolution assenting to the vacation of 32,000 square feet of the right-of-way, 6th Avenue North, that is located parallel to and between Messer Airport Highway and 7th Avenue North, and perpendicular to and between 28th Street North and 29th Street North, and 38,400 square feet of the right-of-way, 29th Street North, that is located parallel to and between 28th Street North and 30th Street North, and perpendicular to and between Messer Airport Highway and 7th Avenue North, located at 509 and 601 28th Street North and 2800 and 2828 Messer Airport Highway, so the owners can consolidate the property. And this is on behalf of Evans Meat LLC owners, and this is the hearing of our interested parties. This is case number issue B 2024-00076. We need a motion.
And can we do item 6?
I don't think that item 6 can be considered at the same time. We have to do those separately because, as stated earlier, we can't do the one before we do the other.
I mean, you can go on and have them both on the table at the same time, but of course, you vote on the vacation before you decide whether you want to waive it or not.
Okay. Well, in that case, can we also read item 6?
Okay, item 6 is a resolution to waive the right-of-way vacation fee in the amount of $105,365.33 in connection with the vacation of approximately 70,400 square feet located at 509 and 601 28th Street North and 2800 and 2828 Messer Airport Highway to redevelop Birmingham Block 424 resurvey Evans Meat because of the positive economic impact the project will have on the city of Birmingham. And again, this is case number issue B 2024-00076. And please note on this synopsis, it should be recommended by the Economic Development and Tourism Committee.
Motion on the item.
Second.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Roger Glow, and I serve as the subdivision planner for the city of Birmingham. As previously stated, this is subdivision case 2024, case number 76, which is a resolution to determine where the city council will give its assent to the vacation of, I'm not going to read that, of the right-of-way so that the property owner can consolidate its property for ingress and egress purposes. The 1/3 right-of-way vacation fee has been set at $105,365.33. On October 9th, 2024, the Subdivision Committee of the Birmingham Planning Commission
recommended approval of this vacation to the full council. And on November the 19th, 2024, the Community Development Committee forwarded this vacation to the full council with a favorable recommendation. And as for the second part, basically, like I said, with the brief synopsis, a resolution to waive the vacation fee in the amount of $105,365.33 associated with case SUB 2024, case number 76, due to the positive economic impact that it will have on the city of Birmingham. On November 19, 2024, the Economic Development Committee, Budget and Finance, and she did correct me, but I didn't.
It's the Economic Development and Tourism.
And Tourism Committee forwarded this item to the full city council with our recommendation.
Okay, Councilor Moore, this is a public hearing item, so I'll turn it over to you to conduct a public hearing as chairman of the Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there representatives of Evans Meat that can come and speak to us? And please state your name, address, and tell us what we're doing here.
All right, still morning. Good morning. Happy New Year. My name is Randall Minor. There we go. I've lost my pen. I'm an attorney at Maynard Nexon, representing the applicant here. The property address, the address for me is 1901 6th Avenue North, Birmingham, Alabama, 35203. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, which is Evans Meat, LLC. We've got several members and representatives of the applicant team. So I have the president of Evans Meat here, Mr. Adam Evans. I've got Magic Gunn, who's the CFO of Evans Meat. I've also got the general contractor that's going to do the actual construction work that's proposed that I'm going to talk about with Rayder McCrary, John McCrary. And I also have Joey Brainer from Shoal Engineering, who's prepared the vacation materials that are before you guys. I'm going to give a little presentation, and I'm going to try to be brief. I know you guys have been a number of hearings already, and you've got another items to cover on the agenda. But this property is located at 2828 Messer Airport Avenue, Highway, excuse me. And I've got a number of boards here. Number of boards here that I'm going to just show you guys just to hopefully illustrate what we're planning to do here. Now, this is an aerial photo that we took looking west towards downtown. So this is Messer Airport between 28th and 29th Street North. The building in the front here, we took this angle intentionally. This is the Stivers Collision Center that was recently completed. The general contractor for that project is the same general contractor that Evans Meat has engaged. And I took this photo, or I selected this photo so that you see kind of what we're dealing with from a street network standpoint. This is Messer. This is 7th Avenue up here. And what you don't see is 6th Avenue, because 6th Avenue has been vacated mostly in this area. So there's a little stub of 6th Avenue here. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're trying to vacate that stub that for whatever reason has been out there. And then the other thing that we're trying to do is 29th Street here. We're trying to vacate that. So when you look on the map, if you go on Google, look at Google Maps, you'll see it looks like there's an actual street there, but when you click on the aerial view and when you actually go to the site, you actually see that this is gravel. This 29th Street is gravel. And I've got a survey. It's going to be hard to see from a distance, but I've got small copies, but also can pass it around. This is the survey. So when you go to the survey on the site, you'll see there's actually buildings in the former 6th Avenue. So part of the structure of the existing building encroaches into 6th Avenue. So our client purchased this property about 2 or 3 months ago with the intent to relocate from Finley Boulevard, which is where they are now, to relocate to this location, the 2828 Messer Airport Highway. And again, we've got the president and CFO, so they can tell you more about the business of the company. But the plan is, with this new location, to retain 139 employees, and then also add 20 new employees that will have the net effect of tripling their capacity. So from the operation in Findlay, which is the headquarters, is also the kind of distribution and processing center. They're servicing this entire region, and also parts of Alabama, other parts of Alabama and other parts of the Southeast. So this business used to be called Southeastern Meats. So some of you guys may remember that, and there's like a jingle and that sort of thing. I learned that as I was kind of going through this. I'd heard that jingle, but I didn't know that this was the successor entity for that. And they currently, a lot of the restaurants that we all enjoy in Birmingham, they get their meat from Evans Meat. So this is an important local business. It was important to them to stay in Birmingham. A lot of their employees live in North Birmingham, so having a location that was accessible for their employees was important. So this was the site that they, after looking at a lot of different sites, they decided to go here. Again, forgive me for taking longer than maybe you're used to on a vacation application, but the street network is important over here. I mean, we don't, I personally, don't take a lot of these types of applications because it's important for the city to maintain its public right-of-ways and et cetera, et cetera. But for this project, when they were describing to me kind of what the plan is, again, it's kind of hard to see because it's a lot of civil design detail. But this is Messer here, and sorry, this is Messer this way. This is 28th Street. This is 29th Street. This is that 6th Avenue that I was talking about. As the building is designed currently, the loading occurs so that trucks would back into Messer Airport. So that obviously, just from a design standpoint, doesn't make a lot of sense. It also doesn't make sense specifically for this business because they're trying to grow it. It's trucks, it's kind of smaller trucks. You've seen the trucks, they're kind of white, not the huge 18-wheeler tractor trailer trucks. They're kind of smaller trucks. It says Evans Meat in kind of red. They're, now that I'm telling you about it, you'll kind of notice them around the city. But the goal that they have is, I think there's 16 bays that they're going to add. And instead of those bays backing into Messer, they're going to back into the 6th Avenue North. So, in theory, we could have a right-of-way use agreement or some other kind of temporary agreement instead of vacating the right-of-way. The problem with that is that the right-of-way use agreement is at will. It's revocable at will by the city. So, in theory, if the council or the mayor, whoever, decided for whatever reason they didn't like Evans Meat, they could revoke it, and then you'd have a truck situation where they're kind of constantly backing in and out of the public right-of-way. So the goal was to avoid that, and so they've oriented the building so that all of the vehicular traffic is going to be away from Messer, the goal being to keep Messer as kind of the thoroughfare to take folks from, to get off 31 and not kind of interrupt that traffic. Again, we can kind of talk about the specifics of the plan and the layout of the operations, et cetera. We've got the team here to talk about that if you guys are interested. One of the things that came up when we were going through this process, pretty early in the conversation with the team, I said, let's, focus on asking what we need from an economic development standpoint. We met with Mr. Cornell Wesley and his team. We went through a process with IDB to make sure that for this type of major headquarters project, that it got the kind of incentive request that was appropriate. And so we went through that process. I think that was wrapped up in November, December. And as we were going through the specific designing of the site and looking at just this vacation process, one of the things that, and also looking at kind of the civil engineering plan, the stormwater management plan, one of the things that we realized was that the public right-of-way, the work that we were going to be doing in the public right-of-way was going to be about $300,000 or $400,000. And what I mean by that is, obviously, you've got paving that occurs with this in order to implement this plan. As I mentioned, 6th Avenue North is not paved currently in this location, so I have to pave it. But moreover, As you can see in the Stivers photo, there's a kind of sunken area. That's a detention pond. So when the GC did the Stivers project, they designed it, in conjunction with civil, so that there would be adequate detention on site. One of the issues in this area is flooding, and as we all know, and I think there's a viaduct that's kind of currently closed because of, I think, flooding issues. So one of the things they did with the Stivers facility is they added on-site detention, and some of that detention, and again, I've got the GC here, who can kind of give you the play-by-play on it. Some of that detention is actually kind of flowing out into the 29th Street North that we want to vacate. So the plan here is when we go to redevelop this 2828 Messer, to have a similar stormwater system that takes off water that's kind of currently just pooling up on the site, and then reroutes it through a plan that they'll design within the former public right-of-way. So all of that, I think the paving piece of this is maybe, and again, don't quote me on, I'm not the GC, but the paving piece is maybe, of the 400,000, it's maybe, half, rounding up significantly. The other part of that is this kind of stormwater detention work. So the waiver request results from us kind of looking at this and thinking, all right, well, technically, y'all don't have to do this because you're at 100% lot coverage currently. So you're kind of grandfathered in. So they could do kind of interior improvements, but really to do the best version of this project, that's what the plan is. And so, again, I can pass around the actual plan, but, one of the things that's happening is things like it's 100% lot coverage now. They're removing some of that paving and creating pervious surfaces on site. They don't have to do that technically, but that's part of the plan. So that at the end of the day, this nice facility that you see for Stivers, you'll have a similar facility for Evans Meat, and it'll be something they can grow into and stay in Birmingham for, the next generation. One other thing I'll say is that, so we've got Adam Evans. You'll notice that the company's Evans Meat, I think it's a family company. So this is the second or third generation of the company. And so, if you want to kind of add to what I've said, I'd love for you guys to kind of hear a little bit directly from them about the business.
So real quick, before you speak, I just wanted to make sure with the vacation piece, this was just to be able to consolidate the area so that the trucks would be able to come through and have a space to come and not be inundated with that busy road on Messer, correct?
Correct.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, the vacation of the streets is critical to the operation of the business. For this building, for this site, it's critical for us to operate efficiently without getting involved with traffic. We've got roughly 34 trucks now, and so maneuvering trucks in an area that's safe and not coming and going through traffic is important.
Okay. I wanted to open this up to the council. If there are any members on the council that want to speak, Council Clark.
Yes, thank you. Wanted to just, I know this business has been around. I've known Evans Meats my whole life, living near Finley Avenue location. So I remember going in those cold refrigerators when you had a retail component. But so thank you for expanding in Birmingham. Very important for our economic development. But wanted to just ask about the abutting landowners on the other side of these vacated. Like, is the plan to split it down the middle and it go half and half to? Are they consenting? So all the other folks are consenting.
Correct. And I'll say my piece, and then Roger, you can
I'm just
add
saying
on.
because there's owners on the
Correct,
other side.
correct. So as you know, normally when you do a vacation, it just goes to the center line, and then the right to that land goes to folks on either side of the center line. So one of the things that we've been doing kind of in the background here is coordinating with all the other property owners in the area. And so that's a process that Adam and his team have been leading. And so the arrangement they've reached is that those adjacent property owners have executed quitclaim deeds. So their interest in the vacated portion would be conveyed to Evans Meat.
Okay.
And then they would have a private arrangement to use those spaces.
Okay.
And so there's a coordinated effort here.
Thank you.
Yes, I will. And that is a part of the application process. The declaration of vacation has to be signed by all affected parties. If one person doesn't sign, you don't see this case. So, they've done it.
Are there any other counselors that have any questions? Oh. Go ahead, Counselor Clark.
And so BDOT agrees that these are not needed for general circulation. Like, we don't need to open these back up for general circulation.
You know, BDOT has a different opinion, but they didn't, at a certain point, they felt
Backed
that.
out.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Counselor Tate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Evans, I am so sad to see you guys leave Finley Avenue. I know you guys have been around a long time, and I really just want to commend you guys for, employing a lot of people in that North Birmingham area, because I live in, right off of Finley and frequent Evans a lot. And Pastor Joe Bracy is one of your employers there. So know that you guys have been around a long time, and really hate to see you guys leave Finley Avenue, but we still, gonna be able to get out Evans Meat when we want to get it. But congratulations, on your new location. And I'm glad to hear that you're adding, some more employees, to the fold. So,
Right.
I hate to see you leave.
Finley's been good to us for a long time, but
Yes, Nikki's, all of that. They have
Space.
really, it reminds me of growing up in the Caraway family, how they really, really took care of a lot of families, in that North Birmingham area. So you guys have done a superb job at that.
thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Williams, and I'll come to you, Mr. President.
Are we gonna also vote on, item 6 at the same time? Right, okay, so I just wanted to say this, too, I think an important part of economic development is also keep not only attracting businesses and entertainment, but also keeping the businesses that are Birmingham businesses. And both you and your contractor, Rader McCary, have chosen to be in the city of Birmingham and to be based in Birmingham, serve Birmingham, and play an important part of the Birmingham story, which is our hospitality and restaurant and retail space. So just thank you to both your contractor as well as you guys for being part of Birmingham's success. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're glad to be a part.
President O'Quinn.
Yes, don't know if this was mentioned earlier, but I just wanted to, I think it's an important point. So the public right-of-way there now is currently not open, so you cannot travel from one end.
Not in the car, correct?
Right, yeah. Thank you.
This is a public hearing item. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, Mr. President, I'll pass it back over to you.
We are ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you. Items 5 and 6 are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7, please.
Okay, item 7 is on page 4. An ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to execute the Affordable Housing Redevelopment Agreement with Smithfield Phase 2 LP, under which the city will transfer title to approximately 5.25 acres north of and adjacent to former A.H. Parker High School in the Smithfield community located on 10th Avenue North, 3rd Street North, and 10th Court North in the city of Birmingham for a purchase price equal to $1,000, and Smithfield Phase 2 LP will renovate the the redevelopment property so it can be used to provide 151 affordable multifamily units for use as affordable housing. This is an item of permanent operation, so we need unanimous consent to take up the item first.
Second.
Councilmember Abbott? Aye. Councilmember Clark? Aye. Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Smitherman? Aye. Councilmember Tate? Aye. Councilmember Williams? Aye. Councilmember Woods? Aye. Council President Pro Tem Alexander? Aye. And Council President O'Quinn? Aye. Okay, now we need a motion on the item.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded. Is there discussion on this item? We probably ought to have somebody explain what's going on here.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We have Mr. Kelvin Datcher and Mr. Corey Stallworth from our Community Development Department that'll provide updates.
Good morning. Corey Stallworth, I serve as Senior Deputy Director of Community Development. And so the item before you is related to the Choice Neighborhood Grant that we received for Smithfield. And so as you know, the city has been charged as being the co-lead for the grant in supporting the build of 1,000 new multifamily affordable units across Smithfield. And so we hit the ground running in 2023 with the first development, which is the former Greymont School site, or you may know it as the former JCCEO site. And so we've been working on that site. We have the funding for that site, and we have submitted our application, our 4% application to the State Finance Authority. And so while we are waiting to hear back from the State Finance Authority on our application for their first site, collectively as a partnership, we decided to move forward with phase 2 of affordable housing in Smithfield, which contemplates the development of a multifamily site at the property that is adjacent to Parker High School. And so the request before you is related to the conveyance of property to the developer partner as well as funding to apply for a workforce housing tax credit. And so before I go into further details as it relates to kind of like the terms of the development and the project, I would like for Mr. Datcher to come up and really give background on the workforce housing tax credit and why we need to apply for it for this project.
Good morning, Council. Kelvin Datcher. I serve as Deputy Director of Community Development. As you guys know, July 26th of 2023, we were awarded the $50 million Choice Neighborhood Grant for the Smithfield community. It's a very aggressive timeline. All those dollars have to be deployed within an 8-year time period. And so we have a very aggressive schedule that you guys can see inside the package, and we can walk through that very quickly. But we did not anticipate taking a full year to get a grant agreement from the federal government, which we should have anticipated, I guess, because they are pretty slow. But we're grateful that we do have it. But that created a kind of a cascading domino effect on our timelines, pushing back everything that we had planned. Fortunately for us, last year, the smart members of the Alabama legislature passed the 6-item Working for Alabama package, which included a workforce housing tax credit that Councilor Clark has been talking about since I met her years and years ago. But that tax credit was passed on May 9th of last year. It was deployed or announced on November 25th of last year, and today is actually the application deadline. We did not anticipate being able to get even close to such an application because it's a pretty complex process, but our development partners and our internal team have done a really amazing job of getting all this together, and we're at the point now where we will be able to submit a compelling application pending the approval of the council. So what you'll see there is a couple things. One is kind of the announcement on the front page of the tax credit from the Alabama Housing Finance Authority. The second one is our phasing approach that you have there. And what you'll see is that phase 1 and phase 2, we had hoped to start in 2024. We, of course, pushed those back once there was delay in getting the overall agreement. But this puts us back on track. It does two things for us. Puts us back on track in terms of potential construction and even maybe ahead of the game in terms of potential construction. But even more importantly, all of our low-income housing tax credit applications and all of our HUD 108 commitments were all going to be focused on Smithfield for the next several years. What this tax credit does now, it relieves some of that pressure so that other projects in the city will also be eligible for these kinds of applications moving forward. So we're incredibly excited about, just being at this process at this point today. And it is just really a miraculous kind of a coalescence of opportunity and preparation getting us to where we are.
And so back in 2023, we came to the council for approval to fund the Choice Neighborhood project to the tune of $49 million. And that also included the assets that we brought to the deal as well, which is land. And so this project will use about $6 million of that funding to support the development of 151 units at the site that is located off of 10th Avenue, adjacent to Parker High School. And so in your packets, you see a layout there that just really shows the diagram of the site, the multifamily site with the tennis courts in the middle and amenities for the residents there. So the agreement that is before you today proposes conveyance of the 10-acre parcel that you see laid out to the Smithfield Phase 2 LP. And so the Smithfield Phase 2 LP is just a tax credit entity name. And so the partners that are behind that tax credit entity is the Housing Authority, the developers, which is Integral Partners out of Atlanta, and Rural Enterprises. And so, as I stated before, every time we do a development, there will be a new entity that is formed so that the tax credits could run through that particular entity for the project. And so we plan to convey the 10-acre parcel at a nominal fee of $1,000. And that is really to help support the construction of affordable housing because the cost of land is normally a barrier to affordable housing. And so because we purchased this property using federal funds, that is part of the subsidy that we would like to bring to this deal to make the units more affordable. Also, the agreement proposes providing gap financing in $6 million, as I stated, and that will be bifurcated by two funding sources. The Home Funds Program in the tune of $3 million, which will support the vertical construction, as well as Section 108 funding, which will be a low-interest loan in the $3 million that will support the infrastructure for the site. And so also in your packet, you see the capital stack there that really just lists out the pro forma of the site. It lists out the sources and uses of the property there. And so you see the total development cost will be $52 million to build this development. And so we're providing $6 million in gap financing. Also, the Housing Authority is providing a $1 million grant as well. You will also see other grants there that are made available by other stakeholders and partners. And so this 10-acre site will support actually two phases of development. Today, we're just focusing on the first phase, which is the 151 units. Down the line, you will see us come back to council for support of a second phase, which will be additional 150 units, which will round out the site for 300 units in its totality. And so that's just a brief overview of the development plan, the capital stack for this project. And now I'll open it up for any questions.
Councilor Clark.
I know that's predictable, but I just want to congratulate you all. I think, so this is the first round of the new workforce housing tax credit, right? And I think this example in the capital stack you have here shows how important this tool is, because these projects, and we saw it at Southtown, the senior building, which was 140 units had a huge gap. I mean, these projects just can't happen without more tools from the state. And we have a lot of private activity bond capacity that comes to the state that really isn't used for housing. And so I think we got to advocate with everything we have to get more of that private activity bond capacity dedicated to affordable housing. Now, as I look at this, it's like the state workforce tax credit equity portion is about 25%
Yes.
of the total cost. But when it was passed, it was capped. So they capped it at like 5 million a year for 3 years. So I'm just wondering, you know, what we're going to do, because we may not be able to raise that much in this application. We still need to apply.
Yes,
but-
ma'am. Yeah, the tax credit overall is $50 million, so it's a 10-year, $5 million per year over 10 years, and it's 4% could be up to 30% subsidy overall. So it's there, right? So it can be kind of cobbled together in that way.
Okay.
Right. So
I mean, we still need to apply,
Sure,
no matter what.
there's no question.
And it's, I think the more we can demonstrate the efficacy of this, I think it'll help us get an extension and a larger cap when,
That's the
when
goal.
the 3 years is up.
Yes, ma'am. So we actually met with some of your colleagues and former State Senator Greg Reed, who's now the new Director of Workforce, who is intent on supporting and growing all of these programs.
Okay.
So hopefully, with his muscle now inside the governor's cabinet, we will be able to really kind of grow that tax credit. I think they'll see immediately today, they're going to get projects all across the state. There's an emphasis on rural projects, so we had to be really competitive in this one to make sure that we can be successful. But the opportunities are there, and hopefully what will happen today, the number they'll receive at the Finance Authority, will encourage them to grow that cap.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's some smart people coming to the legislature.
Yeah, because that's true. We got a housing advocate. I'm very excited about that. But you know, we like in the case of Southtown, the city stepped up big, but it's just not scalable. We can't step up. We could maybe do one every few years if we don't have other tools. So I just wanted to say hats off. This will be a great opportunity to show what that new tool can do. And hopefully it can expand and do more for the whole state, you know.
Councilor Abbott.
I just wanted to ask two questions. I'm looking at the drawing, the very lovely drawing, and I wanted to know where the senior part of the housing is. Is it this little piece up here that has a long corridor in it?
Yes, so this site will actually be for families. The Greymont School site is the senior development. So this is a multifamily site.
Okay, well, the title says Housing Phase 2 Intergenerational Family / Senior Site, so I thought there was some senior in it.
No, there's not going to be senior for this one. This one is multifamily, so that was probably a
Okay.
typo that we need to
So
edit.
the tennis courts that you said that are in the middle, it's a basketball court on this drawing. Has it turned into tennis courts?
No, so yes, that's a basketball court. I apologize. Yeah, I was just referencing the amenities for the families that will be in the center of the site. So you see a basketball court, there will be a playground and other amenities like that. But I just wanted to bring to the attention of the council that those amenities are in the center.
Yeah, see, I thought with the seniors it would be a pickleball. But that was all. I thought seniors were included because the title said they were, but it's okay.
Okay. Councilor Clark.
I forgot to ask, with the site being so close to the interstate, do you anticipate any issues with the environmental reviews for like air quality and noise? Or have y'all done a study? Has the developer done a study?
Yes, so the developer has done a phase 1 and phase 2, as well as a noise abatement study. And so there are some things that we're going to have to do for especially those units that are closer to the interstate. to make sure that they're insulated from the noise. And so that'll be done, on the exterior of the building. So we will have to do that, and that's a part of the cost too of construction being a little bit higher for this site.
Okay, because I know the AHFA will
Yes.
have some requirements around that. Okay.
I have a question. So what's the breakdown of low income or subsidized units versus market rate?
Yeah, so for this site, it really will be about 85% affordable, and so it'll be at different tiers. So it'll be from 30 to 60, all the way up to 80, and then the remainder will be between 80 and 120% of AMI. And so that's just HUD's way of just ensuring that we have more mixed income communities and that we don't concentrate one income in a certain area and in a particular building as well. And so there will be requirements that different units will be scattered across the site. And so folks that are at a certain income level, if you're at 120 or 100% of AMI, you won't stay in one building together. Those units will have to be blended across the entire site.
Okay. Any additional questions? Council Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know originally we had a delineation for workforce housing and affordable housing. Did you just combine those, or is there not a workforce delineation anymore?
Yeah, so workforce housing is a part of it, and that's when you start getting into providing housing for folks that are above 80% of AMI. And so this will be housing for affordable housing, low income housing, all the way up to workforce housing. So it's all affordable, but it's just different definitions for different AMIs.
Do you have that breakdown?
Yeah.
Like, I guess the percentage that will be like workforce housing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's not necessarily required. The mayor wanted us to make sure we define kind of AMI as average median income from the area. So for a family of four in Birmingham, AMI is like $42,464, something like right in there. So that's where that is. But really the goal is to provide proximity to work opportunities, right? And so I think there's going to be some fluidity and flexibility in kind of the definition of workforce versus affordable, just because they want people to live closer to the economic development projects. In our case, it's the downtown city core overall. In rural areas, it'll be these applications, you'll see them being attached to specific economic development projects. So if a car manufacturer builds a plant in rural Alabama, there will be a tax credit expectation for housing, kind of attached to that or in that proximity. So we're hoping that they're always not always flexible. We think this new package, because it's really based on getting people to work, will be much more flexible than anything we've ever seen.
But it's going to be 80% some form of affordable, whether it's workforce or.
Yeah, so the target is going to be to serve folks that are extremely low income. That's 30% of AMI. So that's for a household of one person. We're talking about somebody that's either zero income or they're making like $20,000 a year. So there'll be units to support them. Then you get kind of to the middle of that spectrum. Folks that a family of four, that is closer to what Kelvin was saying, $40,000. So that is kind of like moderate income. And then you get to the 80%, which is at the top of the affordability spectrum. And so for a family of four, that's close to about $70,000. And then from 80% of AMI to 120% of AMI, then you start getting into like your entry level, working professionals that, may be at 50,000 and more for a person household.
I would like to, you don't have to do it now, but if y'all can give me a breakdown of what the goal is and for each one of those categories, and send that over. Is that possible? Or is it not?
When you say goal, can you provide a little bit more information on the request?
Like, are there requirements for each of the categories that you just broke down, or is it just one big bucket of affordable housing?
Yeah, so it's one bucket, and so the goal is just to make sure that we at least try to market to those different tiers, and that we have units available for those different tiers of incomes. But there's not like a set number for each income, but we have to make sure that we're marketing to all spectrums.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions, we are ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
That item is approved. I believe the next item is item 19,
Item 10.
item 10. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, and
Thank
that's
you.
on page 5. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the Director of Planning, Engineering, and Permits to issue a condemnation repair permit to Carissa Neal, the owner or agent of the property located at 847 Hillcrest Road, Birmingham, which was condemned by the council November 21st, 2023, in order to remove the weeds and trash from the premises within 10 days of permit issuance and to, to commence and make substantial repairs within 30 days of permit issuance. No previous permits having been requested.
Second.
Councilor Williams and Councilor Abbott. All right, discussion on this item. Councilor Williams? Or Councilor Wood, sorry.
Yeah, my question was one, I guess just trying to get an understanding of what is actually going on in the property. Because they mentioned specifically weeds and trash. Is there anything actually wrong with the structure? And is there anybody on the administration side that's up to speed on this?
So, Mr.